20 years ago, I stood on the stage of War Memorial Hall to host the very first last lecture. The hall was jam-packed, filled with students, staff, faculty, and alumni assembled together to celebrate the achievements of the graduating class. Times have certainly changed, most obviously because a global pandemic, the first of its kind in over 100 years, has forced us to distance ourselves from each other for a time. Wherever you're watching this video from, know that a community of Griffins, here at the University of Guelph and beyond, is no less proud of you than it was of me and my fellow students all those years ago. Class of 2022, congratulations. In a few weeks, you'll write your final exam, submit your final paper, complete your final lab. You'll close the chapter of your undergrad experience and enter a world that's different than the one that you know now. Most of you will no longer need to plan your life in 4-month semesters, and the reading lists and the assignments will be gone. You get to choose your own adventure. With so many possibilities, where do you start? The truth is, each of us enters the world with our own strengths, ambitions, insecurities, and experiences. I can't stand here today and tell you that there is one key factor or one secret of success, however that's defined. What I can say is that the life that you enjoy 10 or 20 or 30 years from now will be directly related to the sense of self or self-identity that you build for yourself. Where do you start? The answer, you start with you. So many experiences of self-discovery define who I am today and the life that I genuinely enjoy. An important one occurred immediately after I finished university and started law school. What a shock to my system that was. I was suddenly surrounded by uber-competitive people who graduated at the tops of their classes, people who had achieved in so many ways imaginable. Equally challenging was the cynicism that I met in some of my classmates. I left U of G with the greatest of friends, who cared deeply about me and the world around us. In law school, understanding who I was and understanding who was and wasn't a friend was challenging for me. For the very first time in years, I didn't fit in. I was so alone. I fell into a deep depression that year, and it took me a long time to climb out of it. Part of my recovery involved me coming to terms with the fact that I'm gay. The experience of coming out felt like someone pulled the floor from underneath me, causing me to tumble through a bottomless pit. But as I came out to my friends, starting with my closest here at U of G, I came to this important realization. When you dare to be yourself, you will find love that reinforces you, and you will get stronger, day after day. The advice, just be yourself, is often so easily given as if being yourself comes with an on switch. It doesn't. Sometimes it takes a while for you to understand yourself, and sometimes the understanding is triggered by the oddest things. For me, it was the sound of footsteps. In my early 30s, I worked in an office with hardwood floors, my desk arranged so that my back was facing the door as I was sitting at it. I was there one day, in my office, intensely reading, when I began to hear the sound of footsteps approaching my office. They were the footsteps of a coworker of mine, Chris, a tall guy who weighed about 225 pounds, and they got louder and louder. There was something about them that put me on edge, and when Chris finally arrived at my office and knocked on my door, I sat up in my chair in a state of shock. It is really hard for me to talk about the household that I grew up in. It's hard for me to talk about the footsteps of my enraged father as he stomped to my bedroom door in bursts of anger. It's hard for me to talk about the screaming and the yelling, the fists and the hitting, and the deafening silence that would permeate our little house, sometimes for days or weeks on end. It was a scary place for me to be, and I didn't come to realize its impact on me until I realized that the sound of my father's footsteps had merged with the sound of a colleague who I liked very much. Many of you grew up in safe and secure households. Some of you didn't. But for the purposes of what I want to tell you today, I don't think it matters. Your life experiences have shaped you in ways that you may not understand today, and yet your success in whatever you do, especially as a partner, a friend, or a parent, will depend on your understanding what makes you tick. After I understood what the sound of footsteps meant to me, I came to realize that some aspects of my personality were shaped by a childhood spent under near constant tension. Why am I so sensitive? Why am I so impatient? Why am I so driven? Exploring the answers to those questions helped me to change the things about myself that I didn't like and hold fast to the things that I valued. They helped me to become a better person. In telling you this, I'm not suggesting that you spend the months or years ahead thinking about the ways in which you should change yourself. The perseverance, resilience, and enthusiasm that has brought you this far are qualities that your older self will need as life's choices become more challenging. I am constantly looking to my younger self for inspiration. In fact, it was my fearless 16-year-old self who convinced me years ago to quit a great job and start my own business. I was 39 at the time, contemplating my future and asking myself, what's next? As I wondered what it would be like to start my own law firm, fear started to set in. I asked myself a question that can be paralyzing. What if I fail? What if I fail? What if I fail? What if I fail was a question that I'd ask myself when I was younger, but it's never a question that stopped me from doing interesting things. As we get older, though, the question, what if I fail, seems more important, as if the odds of success decrease with age and experience. It's really stupid, actually, and it was my younger self that told me, if you don't do this just because you're afraid of failure, then you're just not living. I made the decision to start my own law firm, reminded of the fact that life is long enough for you to correct the mistakes that you make, but short enough not to live your own dreams. That was 4.5 years ago, and I've never looked back. Griffins. Graduating from university is an incredible accomplishment, one that you should be proud of. I hope that you're prouder of the person you've become along the way, and I hope that you will be prouder of the person you'll become in the future. The path ahead is yours if you choose yourself, forgive yourself, and push yourself as you forge ahead. As a friend once said to me, look inside yourself. All the answers you need are there. Good luck.